Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream live on Twitch on Mondays and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States, which is 10 a.m. if you're in Australia or 1 a.m. if you're in the UK. Remember though, if you do miss the live streams, you can catch up with the premiere event streams on a Friday and Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time in the US, which is 7 a.m. if you're in Australia or 10 p.m. if you're in the UK. I hope all you guys and girls are well. You had a good weekend. We are going to continue working on our Temple of the Winds model that we're making in 3D Studio Max. We are texturing it up in Substance Painter, and we're going to take the final model into Eon View to do a beauty render. So we'll create a 3D environment in View and render out some beauty shots. I'll probably end up taking bits and pieces, a couple of assets into Mari by the Foundry as well, to do an overpaint on some of the textures, I think. That's the plan. Remember though, if you've got any questions or anything you're not sure about, please feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If I can help you in any way, I'm happy to try. If you just want to pop in and say hello, that's always welcome, but if all you want to do is watch, that's completely fine. Let me know too, guys and girls, if there are any problems with the stream, because I've made a few changes to my streaming machine. We're streaming at 60 frames a second now instead of 30. I've changed my USB controller in my computer, and that meant I had to redo my camera, and one thing leads to another. You know what it's like with a PC. So if there are any problems, do let me know, because yeah, my mic and everything is going through a new USB controller now. So, what are we doing? We are going to jump into Max in 2 seconds. Okay. So this is the model we're working on in 3D Studio Max. We're gradually texturing it up. We started from the middle, or from the top, middle, and we're working our way out. Last week we were working on the railing sections here for the terrace, and now we are going to be making like a kit bash, because I'm going to sell this model in my 3D store online, and we have these other pieces here so that people can add or remove the amount of stairs that they want for the Temple of the Winds. The beauty shot though we'll do with the 3-step version. Okay, so I guess we should pick something and start texturing. 2 seconds, guys. My phone is going off. I'll be back in a minute. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. So let's see. What do we send through to Substance Painter next? Why don't we work on the actual railing section that goes around the pond here? I think we'll do that. Why not? Just gotta make sure it's not grouped, and it's not. We're going to call this pond railings. And let's open up that bridge plugin and send it over to Substance Painter. It's going to complain the first time I do it. It always does. It's a permissions problem in Max. So we want to send selection, and it complains as usual. So we'll just cancel that and do it again. It's strange. There is no animation on the rail. I don't know what it's complaining about. Very odd. Max. As you can see, there's no problems with the mesh. Max was just being Max's normal self. Just waiting for my substances to load in. Okay, let's start by baking out the maps so that we can use some smart masks. I'm going to use the low poly as the high poly because I'm only using it for the texturing. I'm not baking out a high poly to low poly. Just before I need to cancel that because I'll make sure I up the resolution a little bit to 2K. Let's try that again. Now I've got to decide on what colour I want to make this railing section, so I'm just going to jump back into Max quickly. We'll close that down so that we can get an idea of what sort of colours I want to go for here. I know that I'm going to be placing a coloured tile on the ground here, so I probably want to keep the railing sections less colourful so that they stand out. So I think a white, these are like a green, this metallic bits that run around the outside of the column. So maybe just a version of that that's maybe paler, just a bit whiter, to the whiter side might be good, I think. So what we can do is, I did create a smart material that I used for those decorative iron sections in the model. So I can use that and I can just pull back on the saturation to whiten it up a bit. So where is it? Where is it? Here we go. Take me half an hour to find this now. Marble, my column, stone borders. It is here. I know it's here. I have used it before. It's not the rusty gold. No. I generally put my in front of them, but I don't think I did it with this one. Very remiss. No, I thought it might have been up here, but it's not there. Maybe I should put them into subfolders, make it easier for me to find them. I'm sure I made it into a smart material. It's not column, it's not that one. It's not rusty gold. Maybe I didn't make it into a smart material. I thought I did. That's very annoying. We could either load up a previous project so I could save it out as a smart material that way, or we could just remake it. It uses the 3 different layers, I think, 3 different substance textures. Materials, I must stop calling them textures, they're materials. Maybe I didn't save it out because I only made it once for the decorative pieces, so I may have not saved it out. Oh, hang on, what have we got here? No, they're the temple rings, we don't want that one. Does not look like I did save it out, so let's just jump back into the materials and let's recreate one anyway. Why not? So, let's start by throwing down a metallic layer, so something like a rusty metal. Maybe something like this one might be good. Let's throw that one down. We can get in here and have a bit of a look at it. I'm going to also delete this blank layer that Substance adds automatically. Okay, that's good for our base layer. I might just see whether we need to scale it a little bit. Might pull the scale up just a bit. Okay, let's throw down another layer on top of that one. And I want like a painted metal, so that's painted. These are both painted metal, I believe. Yeah, let's throw this one down and see if I can change the color. So this has got a slight green to it, which might not be bad, but I think I might want to just make it more towards a white, less of a green. So if I pull back on the saturation a bit, we can remove some of that green colour and bring in just more of a plain white. That's fine, but let's add a smart mask so we can see some of the rust underneath. And let's go with we could try these edges scratch. Let's see what that one looks like. Let's play with our mask a little bit. Turn triplanar on. Just going to get in a position here I can see it a little bit better. I'll pull back on the wear level a little bit so we can start to see some rust coming through. Pull up on the contrast a little. Pull up on the grunge amount. We're also going to turn off the height information for this texture here, because we don't want it to get too bumpy. With the ambient occlusion masking, smoothness, and maybe the curvature. See, if I pull back on the curvature, we go back to the base color. If I pull up a little bit, we start to bring in a little bit more of the paint. Wax Kink, it's good to see you. Did you have a good weekend? It's going well. How's things with you? I had to work over the weekend, so no blob like I was last weekend. I couldn't afford to be a blob on the couch. I had to do some work. But aside from that, it's really good. Yeah, studio's getting busy as usual. Android Lust, it's good to see you. How are you, Android Lust? Did you have a good weekend? What did you guys get up to? Wax Kink says it was a bit busy, but good. Well, that's good. I mean, I was busy too, but I don't mind. I mean, I enjoy what I do, so it's cool. I really don't. I mind being busy over the weekend. It's not like I'm being forced to do something I hate. So it's all good. It is all good. I actually updated my website as well. Made it just updated the actual website so it was responsive design, so it's mobile friendly and tablet friendly and all that sort of stuff. I thought while I'm doing that, I might as well update the whole thing. So in between doing stuff with the studio and 3D, I did some 2D stuff, some web design and development stuff. Smurfberry Barbecue, it's good to see you, buddy. I thought you might have been at your thing, your workshop. But it's good to see you, Smurfberry. Hope you're well. Hope you had a good weekend. What is the workshop for, Smurfberry, if you want to say? I'm not sure if you do. Smurfberry says that's Tuesday and starts next week. Okay. It's good to see you, Smurfberry. What is the workshop for? You don't have to say if you don't want to, but I'm just curious what you're doing. So yeah, I'm trying to I just want to bring a bit more white into the railing sections here. Okay, I was thinking that this one's too close, but I actually did that, I think, on purpose. I made them less perfect, if you remember, so it looks more realistic. Because, it's really easy with 3D to get things completely spaced correctly and all lined up nicely, but that's not reality. So, workshopping a novel you're right. Ah, nice. Well, that's really cool. A novel. So not only do you do 3D stuff, you're writing a novel as well. Cool. I actually was interviewed by there's a website called the Authors and Writers website, and they interviewed me a couple of years ago, because a lot of the guys that write novels need covers done, book covers. Even if it's an online novel that like you may be selling on Amazon, you still need a cover for it to sell it. And they interviewed me as part of that, because I've done a couple of book covers for people over the years, some design work, which is always fun. Okay, just playing with the curvature here to see. No, I want to bring in more. I'm just going to turn that off so I can get an idea of what the mask is doing. And that's good, just bringing in a little bit of white, which is what I wanted. Let's come back to our materials, because I just want to throw down a dirt layer as well on top of that. And I generally use one of these mud textures for the dirt layer. So let's throw that down. Just wait for Substance to compile that shader. Come on, Substance, what are you doing? There we go. Let's do a quick save just to be on the safe side, shall we? Yeah, again, just in case you didn't hear me at the beginning of the stream, I've made a couple of changes to the to my stream setup. So I'm streaming at 60 frames a second now, but we have transcoding, so if you can't watch it 1080p 60 frames a second, you can knock it back. I also updated all of my USB controllers on the computer, so it means we're doing my camera and all that sort of stuff, my microphone. So if there are any problems with the stream, let me know. If the camera doesn't look right, if I don't sound right, please tell me. Well, from what I can see in OBS, it doesn't look too bad. Alright, let's play with the scaling a little bit first on this dirt layer. Let's also turn off the height information. I'm going to turn off the normal map as well, because we're only using it for dirt. We're not using it for mud, so we don't need a height or a normal really. Dust doesn't really have height information that you can see through the naked eye. So let's also change the color. I'm going to set it more into a grey and a little bit darker. Not quite that dark. Euro, yo, it's good to see you, Euro. How are you? Did you have a good weekend? Looks perfect on your end, Android Dust. Good to hear. And I sound okay as well, because like I said, my mic is going through a new USB controller as well. And yes, we're streaming at 60 frames a second. I've upped my bitrate. Because why not? Just keeping an eye on OBS, because, you know, you never know. OBS has a mind of its own. But I hope you had a good weekend, Euro. It's good to see you. Everything works. Well, that's the important thing, Smurf. As long as everything's working, then we're good. Let's jump back down to our smart masks again, and let's look for a smart mask we can throw over our dirt layer. Which one do I want to go for? Euro says, yeah, not bad. Did some 3D for the first time in a while. Even encoded the asset in a game. Cool. Which game? Which engine are you using? That's good to hear though, Euro. I'm all for you guys and girls doing 3D stuff. Because it's fun. It's fun. Now I could go with one of these dust specific. My phone's going off in the background. My apologies for that. One of these dust specific smart masks, but I think I might go for this worn one. Let's see what that looks like. Just because it wasn't made specifically for, just because it's not called dust doesn't mean you can't use it. That's what I'm trying to say. Wax King says, well my friend, I'm going to hop out and chill for the night. Glad I could stop by and say hi around. No, well, thank you for Wax Kink. It was good to see you. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. You have a great night. Euro says it was for Armour 3, just a little fun project. Cool. Armour, yeah, I know a lot of the guys and girls do stuff for Armour. Just going to pull up here a little bit on the contrast. Let's play with our mixing of the textures a little bit. If I get in here, we can probably get a better look at it. So if I pull back on texture 2, we bring in more of the overall dirt. If I pull up on texture 2, we are removing some of the dirt, which is what I want. Again, I'm just going to turn on and off this layer so I can get a better idea of what it's doing to the object. We're going to pull up on the contrast a bit more. Play with the ambient occlusion a little bit. Euro says, ironed out a few issues with my Substance Armour workflow too, so good all round. It was a timely reminder why I moved all my work to PBR instead of non-PBR Spec Loss. Yeah, I used to, back in the day, you know, Spec Loss was the way to do it before PBR was around. Now PBR's taken over from Spec Loss. PBR is good. It has a lot of advantages over specular and gloss. So you use metallic and roughness instead of spec and gloss. And yeah, no, PBR workflow is cool. That's good. You get physically accurate materials instead of playing with the different values in Photoshop to get your spec and your gloss correct. So it is good. It's good too if you work in ArchViz because it's a physically based rendering material. When you do renders in a third-party rendering program or even any ray tracing engine built into your 3D software, you get an accurate render of what the thing looks like. Euro says, Spec Loss works better on buildings and stuff. PBR is better for live props. In your opinion? I find that PBR can work really well for assets, for hard surface assets as well. Like you see me using it here for our temple. I find it works okay. It works well, actually. But I still like to go into Mari and overpaint with bitmap textures, even though I use a PBR base texture. I'll then take a couple of assets into Mari by the Foundry and I'll do an overpaint on them using bitmaps, which I can then resave out as PBRs if I want, which I probably would. Particularly if it's going in a game engine, because if it's going in a game engine, you want PBR. What I think I might do here is I'm just going to darken up the colour a little bit more. Still just a little bit too bright. Euro says, yeah, I mean, if I had a choice, I would PBR all the time, but spec gloss on buildings is okay. Yeah, look, there's nothing wrong with spec and gloss. I'm not saying that there is, because I mean, that's what we used to use all the time before PBR. And it does the job really well. It's just a little bit more fiddly. Using PBR, particularly if you use Painter here, it's much easier to adjust the shininess or the roughness than it is with a spec and a gloss. Spec and a gloss is a bit more fiddly. Each their own. And I still will use a spec and a gloss as well. I won't use just PBR generally exclusively, although now my workflow is probably more 80% PBR and 20% spec gloss. Whereas before it used to be like 80% spec gloss and 20% PBR. I'm just going to turn this off and on so I can see what it's doing to the texture. Material. It's not really a texture. I must stop calling it a texture. We might just up this a little bit now that I've darkened the texture, the material up. I think we can bring in a little bit more of the dirt. Yeah, so it can be hard to see when you're adding these layers upon layers what it's actually doing to the model. So I just like to turn off the layout so I can see, probably most noticeable over here, what it's doing. It's just adding like a dirt layer. It might be a little bit strong though, so I might just pull back a bit on the mix. Might be a bit better. Just pull it back just a little bit more subtle. Euro says, and older engines don't all support, no PBR, they don't. Euro says, fiddly, slight understatement there. Euro says, thankfully modern tools make tweaking them a whole bunch easier. They certainly do. I remember the days where you had to jump into Photoshop and do all your adjustments, so you're constantly jumping between the game engine, your 3D engine and Photoshop to save out new versions of your spec and your gloss to get it just right. But you are right. Now, modern tools now you've got sliders you can do, just like we do here in Substance Painter for our roughness and our metallic. Smurfberry says Armour 3 doesn't support PBR. Oh no. Well, then that explains why you're using spec and gloss. When was Armour 3 released? I guess it was a while ago now, wasn't it? That game was released, Armour 3. (2013). Interesting you guys are still so... Video games have such a short lifespan. I'm always interested to know why certain games stay really popular for a very long time. Like, yeah, maybe the Call of Duty games, and Armour obviously is really popular still. And yeah, because some games people won't play them after a couple of years after they've been released. They move on to the next thing. But some games stick and people play them constantly. And Armour is obviously one of them. Smurfberry says that's older than I thought. It's 6 years ago. Timeless games. Yeah. Well, I've noticed, like I said, some games really, people play them for years and years and years and years and years. Whereas most games, people won't play them after a couple of years. They move on to something else. Euro says it's because it's the only realistic military sim game outside of serious games the military use, like BBS3. Oh, okay. That explains. See, I'm not really into online games, so multiplayer. I don't really. I like single player. I don't like multiplayer, so that's probably why I don't follow it or don't get it, maybe. But I can understand that. If it's one of the few good ones in that genre, then that explains it. Sniper Girl, it's good to see you. I hope you had a good weekend. The van is coming along very nicely. You guys and girls, if you want to see the van, jump on the Discord server. You're going to start texturing it up. That's the fun part. The texturing is always fun. At least it is for me. I mean, I like building 3D models, but texturing is just as much fun. Just again going to play with the balance here a little bit. I could turn global invert on. No, we won't. Euro says, and you can mod. It has a huge modding community. I guess that's why Skyrim is still so popular as well by Bethesda, because you can mod it as well. It always helps to refresh a game if you can download free mods to play on it. It'll be interesting to see what happens actually with the new Skyrim when it's released, because according to Bethesda, they've changed their engine. Let's see if that's true or not. If they're not still using Gamebryo, then it might be more difficult to mod. Although I would hope that they would make it so it was easy for modders to mod, because they can see how much of the community loves modding their games. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the next Skyrim game is like, or Elder Scrolls games. Sniper Girl says, was very productive, making a final low poly scene with all the exterior assets and hope to have them in painter tomorrow. Cool. I look forward to seeing it textured up. It's going to look mega awesome. Sniper Girl says, honestly, I still play modded Skyrim. Skyrim is normally always installed on my computer, modded of course. I don't have it installed at the moment because I reinstalled the operating system when I upgraded the main machine here. And I haven't put it back on because I'm waiting for the new version, the new Skyrim. But generally, I always have it installed because it's always fun to jump into Skyrim when you're bored. I don't get a lot of time to be bored, but and modding it up, you can make it look beautiful. Sniper Girl says, so many things you can do in mods. That's true. There are. Euro says, I have a huge secret. I've never played Skyrim. Oh, Euro, you don't know what you're missing. Look, I hate the Gamebryo engine. That's the engine that Bethesda used to make Skyrim. It's a terrible, terrible engine. I've used it before when I worked in games development. It's just awful. And they dispute that. They say it's not Gamebryo, it's their engine. Trust me, it's not. It's Gamebryo. Look, I can see it from a mile away. Even if I don't have access to their code, I know it's Gamebryo. And Gamebryo is crap. Putting it bluntly, it's absolute crap. The company doesn't exist anymore. That's how bad their engine was. They folded about 5 or 6 years ago. So I'm hoping that they use a new engine and that they improve the visuals. With mods, you can make Skyrim look very pretty. Don't get me wrong. Like throw an ENB on there or something, and it can look beautiful. But I still hope they change the engine, because you guys and girls know if you play Skyrim, it can be a bit buggy. Like the game can crash. You can have problem with physics where things start flying up into the air, and it has major problems. And that all stems back to the code, which is Gamebryo, the game engine. So I'm hoping that they use a newer engine to fix those problems, if nothing else, because we all know how buggy Bethesda games can be, and the reason they're buggy is because of Gamebryo. Android Lost says, change their engine. I kind of doubt it. Well, yeah, I'm waiting. I won't hold my breath, and I'll take what they say with a grain of salt, because, yeah, they reckon they don't use Gamebryo now, but they do. So, But you should play Skyrim Euro. It's a great game. And Sniper Girl says, said that Fallout 76 was an updated engine. Yeah, right. And that the next Elder Scrolls game is going to be the same engine, so God help us all. If they're trying to make out that Fallout 76 is their new engine, that is still Gamebryo. I haven't played Fallout 76. I've seen the screenshots. You've only got to look at it. You can tell immediately by looking at it what they're using, or that they're using Gamebryo. Because Gamebryo has this weird look about it. The engine itself, it's how they do the lighting in the engine. It never looks quite right. Oh, Bethesda. All the problems you've had with Fallout 76, and you're going to make them even worse by reusing that engine on Skyrim. God help you. Andrew Lust says, you should play it. Yeah, love Skyrim. Yeah, I love Skyrim too. You should play it. It's a good game. It is a good game, but it's buggy. It's buggy, but it's fun. And it's big, like you can sink 120 hours into Skyrim easy. So it's good value. And it's really cheap now too, I think, on Steam if you want to buy it. And if it's not on sale, wait for it to be on sale. And it's like I bought a version, I've got 3 versions of Skyrim, I think. The one I bought at normal retail when it was released, so $60 or whatever. But then I bought it twice more for like $2. $2 Australian, so that's like, $1 American. It's mega cheap. You can get it mega cheap, and that's on Steam. And it's worth $1. It was worth 60 when I bought it, but yeah, it's worth $1 now. Euro says it's too pixely for me. I want video games to look like my renders. Well, so do I. I'm all about the graphics, and that's why I don't like the Gamebryo engine, because it's crap. And it's the lighting, the way that they program the engine handles lighting. It just never looks right. It looks. The best way to describe it, the screens look muddy. The lighting looks muddy, at least to my eye. Android Lust says to Euro, download 100 gig of mods. You could do that. Sniper Girl says to Euro, won't hold that against you. Euro says, I already have a few 100 gigabytes of armor mods. Have a few 100 gigabytes of my own too. Euro also says it consumes hard drive space like nobody's business. All games now. All games are huge. If you don't have a fast internet connection, you're in trouble. Because, yeah, downloading games they're getting massive. Massive, massive. Not to mention how much space they take up on our hard drives when they're installed. Euro says Fallout 76 was just Fallout 4 with a larger terrain and badly implemented multiplayer. Pretty much. Well, again, I actually played Fallout 4. I played it in total maybe about 3 hours of Fallout 4 before I decided that it was just awful. I did not like it. Fallout 3 was great, even with Gamebryo. Fallout 4, I found the story was really lame. I didn't like the graphics. I thought when was Fallout 4 released? Was it last year or the year before? Either way, in 2017 or 2018, you've got to use an engine with prettier graphics now. Sniper Girl says, no doubting, it's what they said during E3 presentations and a few other things. Yeah, I saw the E3 presentation and I saw the teaser they did for the next Skyrim game or the next Elder Scrolls game, where they did a zoom out or a zoom in from on the landscape. You saw a large section of landscape. So let's see what it looks like and how buggy it is when it's released, shall we? Sniper Girl says, yep, and even had some default bugs from Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, bugs that were patched years ago by modders. Yeah, look, Bethesda, I love your games generally. Like, I love the Fallout franchise and I love the Skyrim Elder Scrolls franchise, but man, come on. Drop that horrible game engine so you don't have so many bugs in your code. You're destroying your good name with the gaming community by holding on to that rubbish engine. And isn't Bethesda owned by ZeniMax or something, the overseeing company? And don't they also own id Software? I mean, come on, it's not like you don't have other engines you could use that you don't have to pay for even. Get your shit together, Bethesda. Sniper Girl says there's mods that offer lightning patches for Skyrim. Yep. Euro says if they do another Fallout, I hope they go back to Fallout 1-2 story style where you had millions of combinations to get to end game. Yeah, Fallout 1 and 2 were good games too. I didn't like Fallout New Vegas, but I think that was because of the environment. Like, I set it in a desert and I didn't like that. I thought it looked brown and horrible. I don't like to play a game if it's not pretty. Shoot me if I don't like, but unless it's pretty, I won't play it. Euro says, everything since Fallout 3 was lacking in story depth. I agree. Sniper Girl says, yeah, downloading games suck. Horrible download rate. I've taken 3 days on a download before. Merkberry says, indie games is where it's at. Well, that's true. Indie games. Support those indie developers. Sniper Girl says, it's true, but getting on a paid indie is hard as heck. Would kill people to do indie. Oh, you're talking about getting paid to work on an indie game. That's what you're saying, Sniper Girl, I think. Sniper says, Fallout 4 is 2015. Oh, really? Was Fallout 4 released in 2015? You lie to me. That can't be true. That can't be true. 4 years ago? No. It wasn't released in 20... It wasn't released 4 years ago, was it, Fallout 4? I thought it was like 2017 or something. Sniper Girl says Fallout 4 came out... Oh, my chat client went a bit weird there. Sniper Girl says Fallout 4 came out November 10, 2015. Wow. I didn't realise it was that long ago. Android Lost says, I never beat Fallout 4. I hate choosing sides in games, so I simply don't. Euro says, I saved game at the choice part, did all 3 ends. That's the way to do it. And Euro says, they're all pretty linear, Android Lost. Smurpery says, Google it, I'll fight you. I'm looking. I trust you. I trust you guys and girls. If you say 2015, I believe you. That amazes me, though. I thought it was 2017. Where's the last 4 years gone? What's happened? It feels like the last 4 years have just disappeared. I told you guys, the older you get, the quicker it goes. It's so true. I might just jump back to the paint texture here. And I might just bring up the luminosity a little bit. Because I just felt like we were losing the whitey colour of the paint. And I just want to bring it back so that the railings are a little bit more noticeable when they go back on the model. Less brown and grey and a little bit more white. Android Lost says to Euro, I should have done that, but I just downloaded a bunch of mods and forgot about the story. What is that icon? It's looking in my chat. Oh, okay. Sniper Girl says with all the issues between Fallout 76, releasing a dev I heard about that. Releasing a dev room that people could access and sell items, duping them issue, both of which ruined the market. And the Nuke a Dark Rum issue, I didn't hear about that one. The problems with the canvas bag being I heard about that, cheap nylon bag, and didn't represent the advertisement at all. The reputation was ruined with just what they did for Fallout 76. Yeah, let's still save here so we don't crash, just in case we crash, because you never know. I haven't updated to the new update for Substance Painter. You guys remember last week, or the week before, sorry, when we were doing our painting, I'd upgraded to the new point release of 2019. The hotfix release, let's call it that. which kept crashing every time we were using it. Then I reverted it back to the previous hotfix in 2019, which is what I'm using now, and it's fine. But I know that Algorithmic released a new update again after the hotfix that was crashing. I haven't installed that yet. I don't know if I'm going to. Might just stay on this hotfix for a while. Euro says, yeah, their post-launch stuff sucked. In hindsight, it was completely scammy. Yes. Bethesda, you had such a good name in the industry. You know, they used to have a name like CD Projekt Red because they've got a great name, reputation in the industry for being good game developers and treating people properly. Bethesda used to be like that, but they've just ruined their reputation. And I don't know if it's since they've been taken over by that new parent company or what. But yep, not like they used to be. Not at all, unfortunately. Euro says, I never bought Fallout 76. By the way, nor do I intend to. Don't. My advice is don't buy Fallout 76. If anything, it's going to end up going free to play anyway. Because it just has so many problems and it has such a bad reputation. The only way they're going to get people in the long run to keep playing it will be to give it away as free to play. And then they'll have all this crap that you can buy in-game, like, you know, like EA do with loot boxes and stuff. That's the way that game is going to go eventually, I predict. Because it has got such a bad reputation. But even then I wouldn't play it. Android Lust says the dev room exploit made me not want Fallout 76, but didn't entirely want to buy it in the first place. Sniper Girl says Nuka Dark Rum was a rum that they made, premium rum that was advertised as being a quality rum in a decorative bottle. It's $80 to buy. Wow. And what was it? Was it awful? Again, I used to love rum, actually. Speaking of when I'm back in my bad old days when I was that wild child, I used to really like rum until I made myself absolutely sick on it. And now I can't, the smell of it just makes my stomach turn. I mean, I made myself so sick that I drank a whole bottle of rum in a night, which, you know, is dangerous in itself because you can get rushed to hospital from alcohol poisoning if you're not careful. And the night is a blank. I still can't remember what happened between, like, I started drinking at about 6 p.m. and after 10 p.m. I can't remember anything until the very next morning when I woke up. I was with friends, thankfully, so God knows what I got up to, but yep, complete. It's gone. It's never come back into my mind. I cannot remember what I did. My friends told me what I did. I have to believe them because I can't remember. But now the smell of rum just makes me sick. Neuro says, I think it's endemic in the gaming industry at the moment where large publishers are monopolizing studios and is now shareholder profit driven rather than just about making great games. It is, and that's a real shame. You know, you guys and girls that are on Twitch watching me and watching other streamers and a lot of other streamers on Twitch, we're all gamers. We all love gaming. I used to work in the games industry and I'm making that House on the Hollow game, so I love gaming. And it's really disappointing to see how the industry is heading. Indie games are great. You know, they can make good games. They can make games focused on what gamers want. But AAA games now, they're just turning into cash cows for investors. They don't care. They rush it out the door before it's ready. They hold back content so they can sell it to you later as DLC. They try and milk you for money through in-game purchases. It's just terrible. Now, you know, AAA games make a lot of money and they cost a lot of money to make. So I don't begrudge investors wanting a return on their investment. That's fine. You don't want to throw money away if you're an investor. But for God's sake, come on. You don't need to put all this in-game currency stuff in. You don't need to put loot boxes in that people have to pay for. You're making money on the sale of the game anyway. So it's terrible. And the reason that's happening is because, AAA games cost huge amounts of money to make now. Because, I don't know if you've noticed, but every game every year now gets bigger and bigger and bigger and more grand. Just look at Cyberpunk, what CD Projekt Red are doing. I mean, that's a huge game with a huge environment. GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, any of the Call of Duty games, I mean, they cost a lot of money to make. because the scope of the game keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year, AAA gaming. But that doesn't give them the right to rip us off or to make bad games. That's, if they're a bad game, don't buy it. Just like I would never buy Fallout 76. I did buy Fallout 4. I regret that because it was a terrible game. But you're right, Euro. It is endemic of the industry now. Sniper Girl says, from what I've read, rum is cheap quality, tastes horrible. The bottle is a normal bottle. It's in a rubber sleeve and hinders the ability to actually pour it with the sleeve on. Oh, wow. Come on, Bethesda. Wow. Euro says, did you put on a patch, a pirate hat, and say before you said anything? We'll see Bundaberg rum, which is the big rum that you buy here in Australia, but they're actually in Queensland, the factory. That's the rum we drink here in Aussie land, Bundaberg rum. Bundaberg is a town in Queensland where the rum is made. But it's called Bundaberg rum. Euro says, do you get OBD over there? I'm not familiar with OBD. I'm not sure what that is. Let's send this back to, let's change the texture name and we'll send it back to Max. So we're calling this pond railing. Let's export our textures. And I'm going to export them. I won't export them I'm going to export them at 4K. I know that's huge, but I'm going to be putting this model up for sale, so I want to give them a nice large texture that they can then reduce if they want to. 2K would probably be okay for this size railing. But no, I'm not familiar with OBD. Sniper Girl says, it's what the Nuka Dark rum looks like. Oh, okay, let me have a look. Let me see. Let me pull in my browser window. Yeah, again, I updated my website, guys and girls, if you weren't here for the beginning of the stream. So it's all nice and responsive design now because I was getting complaints from Google, Google Webmaster Tools. If you're if you have websites, you can set them up in the Webmaster Tools on Google. That's part of Google's suite of tools. And it does checks for you, like to make sure your site's secure and make sure it's mobile friendly, and you can submit your site maps, all that. It gives you stats on how many people visit you, all that sort of stuff. And it kept complaining that my website wasn't mobile friendly. And if your site isn't mobile friendly, then Google will start pushing you back in Google search results. So I thought I better make sure that the site was mobile friendly, and which meant it had to be responsive design. So that's what I did. I updated the website so it was responsive. So it looks the same on any size screen and also any size mobile device. But anyway, I was meant to be looking at this link that Sniper Girl posted. Nuka Dark. I love the bottle. I love the shape of the bottle. Obviously from the game, but it's a really cool shape. Wow, $80 for 750 ml. Wow. Oh, man. No, don't allow. You are not tracking me. You're not getting my location. When you compare it to the whiskey here, which is $25. Wow. Although I do like the shape of the bottle. Euro says, old battered Sniper Echo. Sniper Echo, it's good to see you, buddy. How are you? How's things going? How's that project coming? Let's just do a quick save here before we jump back to Max. And let's open up Max. Change my background. I like to change it up occasionally. The Dark Souls night was cool, but yeah, I wanted something new. But it's good to see you, Sniper. Android Lost says, hey, not late. No, he's not late actually, is he? No, he's not. I'm doing well. I was working over the weekend, as I was telling the guys and girls. No rest for the wicked, as they say, and I'm as wicked as they come. So yeah, I had to work over the weekend, which is cool. It's fine. I enjoy it. I'm actually going to be going on 2 weeks break in 2 weeks' time, guys. I'll let you know next week. So I'm streaming this week. I'm streaming next week, but then I'm going on my mid-year mid-year cabin in the woods retreat. You guys and girls know every year, middle of the year, I go to my cabin in the woods for 2 weeks. Actually, normally it's a week, but I'm going for 2 this time. Where there's no technology, no one to bother me. There's like the nearest neighbour is 20 kilometres away. No TV, no phone. Completely isolated. I go there for a couple of weeks to de-stress because I get tired. It's stressful being creative. So yeah, mid-year I always like to go there. So this week, this year I'm going for 2 weeks. So I'm going to be streaming this week. I'm going to be streaming next week, but then I'm gone for 2 weeks. So, the middle part of June. But I'll remind you guys next week, and I'll post Twitter and my Discord as well to remind you. Which is probably good, actually. It's probably while you're on your workshop, Smokeberry. Sniper Girl says, I would buy it just for the bottle if it was a bottle. I don't drink. The fact that it's a cheap rubber sleeve over a normal... Oh, no. Yeah, I wouldn't buy it either. I thought that was the shape of the bottle because it looks like the bottle. And that sucks. No, I wouldn't buy that either. Particularly not for $80. Sniper says, Konya, you're not that late. You're getting better. You are getting better, Sniper Echo, but it must be very late for you there over in Europe. I always appreciate you guys and girls watching me that are in Europe because I know it's early hours of the morning for you. So because I sort of stream to my American audience, their time zone, I know it's late if you're in Europe and it's very early if you're in Australia. Yeah, but I'm doing good. Like I said, I've been working over the weekend, so got to catch up on all that workload before I go on break. Sounds like, yeah, I do it every year, Android Lost. You guys remember that have been watching me for a while I've been streaming on Twitch. Every year I go for a break to this cabin in the woods. I've posted a picture of the cabin on my Twitter page before. You can look at my Twitter if you want to see what the cabin looks like. It's a tiny little cabin. It's cute, but it's isolated in the middle of a forest. No neighbours, no noise. I love it. I don't know, I couldn't live there probably all the time because I need the TV and I need the phone and I need the PC. But it's nice to get away for a couple of weeks. Nero says, that means you have plenty of time to hide the body. That's right. Plenty of space to hide it too. Australia's a big place. It's just hit 2 a.m, Euro says. Yeah, I knew it was pretty late for you guys in Europe. Sniper says, yeah, almost 2 a.m. here. Sniper says, nearly finished designing some electronic components for a project. Geez, Sniper Echo. You got your fingers in a lot of pies, haven't you? Not only, 3D design film stuff, but also component design. Wow. Fingers and lots of pies. Let's pull in this texture we just saved out from Substance Painter. And then we're using a DirectX shader here to see it inside of Max's viewport because number one, Algorithmic have not released the new Substance plugin yet for Max. It was supposed to have been released 3 or 4 weeks ago, but on their forum they said it's due to be released in the next week now. Let's see. So the only way we can actually see the textures in Max correctly, because they're PBR textures, is to use a DirectX shader. You could use a physical material shader as well, but I'm using a DirectX one. So the first thing we need to do is we need to recreate this DirectX shader. Let's change it to interactive. Let's load up our normal map. Let's find where our normal map is. Should be called Pond Rail. We should have there we go, Pond Railings. So we want the normal map. the color map. Now, I also want to save this. We'll jump into Substance Painter again in a minute, because I want to save this material we created for this railing section as a smart material, so we can use it for the outer rails as well. Let's load up the metallic. I must remember to override the gamma and the roughness. And again, I must remember to override the gamma. We must make sure we turn them on, so normal map, color map, metallic map, roughness map. Let's also pull in the bitmap so we know what that shader is. That just reminds me so I know what it is, otherwise I might forget. Sniper says it's going good. To Sniper Girl, sorry I haven't had given much feedback on the van of late. Looking great stuff. It is looking good, isn't it? Okay, let's select our railings and let's assign that texture we've just made. I'm also going to deselect that. Why are you not showing up? What have I forgotten? No, I've forgotten something. Turn the normal map on. Turn the color map on. Changed it to interactive. That's strange. I'm just going to try and work out why it's not showing my material. Why you do this? Why you do this? I've forgotten something, I'm sure. Sniper Echo says this project is a spin-off of a game dev project I'm working on. It has some possible real-world application provided I can build it, of course. I'm sure you can do it, Sniper Echo. I've got to try and work out what is going on here. Standard. Standard, so that's all good. I'm using the color map. I've pulled in the color map. Maybe I assigned the wrong. I bet you I did that. Let's do that again. Assign material to selection. There we go. I assigned this one instead of assigning the actual DirectX shader. That was the problem. But you see it's looking very dark. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make it unique. We're going to open up the shader node tree. And let's change it so we're using 3 lights instead of 1. And let's export that so it remembers our change called pond railing. And there we go. Now if I zoom in here, we can see our pond railings. I'm just going to zoom out so I can get a better overview of what it looks like from a distance. Check the color. Look, Max needs something to lock onto for my rotation. There we go. It's a little hard to tell because we've got a white background here, the inside of the pond. Once we texture that up, these railing sections will stand out a lot better. So let's jump back. Let's just do a save here. And then we're going to jump back into Substance Painter. I'm going to save that. I'm going to create a smart material based on this texture so that we can reuse it again for the outside here, the railings on the outside. I'll just wait for Max to save that out. The texturing should start to speed up a little bit now because we can reuse the smart materials for the railing sections here. We can reuse the smart material that we created for the decorative pieces here on these decorative pieces. Actually, I don't even need to redo the material. I can just, because when I designed it so we could reuse textures over and over again just to cut back on the texture usage. So we've already made the texture for that. We just need to assign it to these. So we'll do that next. But just before I do that, I'm going to jump back into Painter and save out a smart material before I forget. So let's create a folder. Let's rename it My, because I like to start it with My, make it easier for me to find. Usually, hopefully. We're going to call this My Railings. My Railings, that'll do. Make sure we put all of these in the folder. In the folder. There we go. And now let's turn that into a smart material. My Railings, there we go. Cool. Okay, so we've done the smart material. Let's jump back into Max. And let's assign the green decorative textures to these pieces along the outside of the temple. Let's start with you. So if I can find where that one is, that texture is. Pond edge, no. Column, no. Might be this one, I think. Ironwork. Yep, it's this one. So let's assign the texture. With a bit of luck, it should look correct. And it does. It's just a... no, we have a problem here. Again, this stretching problem, this is happening because I'm using the mirroring tool in Max, and Max's mirror tool has had bugs for years and they never seem to fix it. So there's a problem with the UV mapping there. Just going to check to see if it's on all of them. It is, it's on all of them. We may have to re-UV it, but just before we do that, I'm going to see if I can't do something else. If I can't maybe copy the UVs from one of these. Let's see how we go. So I'm just going to duplicate that piece. Let's go into isolation mode so it's easier for me to see. Let's collapse everything. I'm going to delete that bit. Whoa. I just want to be left with half of one of these column pieces. So that way I can, I want to see if I can copy and paste the UV map. May work, may not work. It's worth trying. It only takes 5 minutes here to test. Alright. Let's throw an unwrap UVW down and have a look at it. Let's copy that unwrap. And let's jump back to this. Again, I'm going to go into isolation mode. No. Yes, this is using a different unwrap. Let me remove that. Check this one. Yeah. Alright. Let me select both of these. Back into isolation. That's the reason why these are using a different unwrap. I might actually just retexture these. It won't take long. We have a smart material already made. Because I'd rather use this UV map than this UV map. This UV map works okay for this piece, but I think for these pieces there's something else. Let's see if we can copy it some other way. So I don't destroy the original piece here. I'm just going to duplicate it for my test. So let's see if we can take the UV map from this one and put it on this one. No. And I see why, because this one actually is a different design to this one. It's similar but different. That's why I can't copy and paste between them. Alright, it's okay. We'll just send it over to Substance Painter and we'll do it that way. No big deal. Alright, let's send that to Painter. Just let me make sure we did a save here. Sniper Girl sucks that Max is giving you issues. Yeah, it's I'm just waiting for Painter here. Yeah, it's my fault actually. I thought I could have reused them, but now I'm looking at it. The design of this metallic work here is slightly different to this. It's similar, but not the same. That's why the UVs aren't the same. So I think it was me getting confused, thinking I made these to be the same UVs as these, but I didn't. I've made all of these to be the same UV that run around the outside, but not the same as the ones on the inside here. That's okay, we can send it over to Substance Painter. Again, it always complains the first time. but I did create a smart material, so it shouldn't take us too long just to reapply the material anyway. Snubby says, still Max's fault, always Autodesk. It is, that's right. It's always Autodesk's fault. Always. Let's bake out our maps here. That's right. It's never my fault, it's always Autodesk's fault. Okay, we've baked those out. Let us rename the material. We're going to call this one Outer Iron Work. Outer Iron Deco. There we go. That's better. Let's look at our smart materials, because I'm pretty sure I created a smart material. Where did I put it? My color, my rail. My temple, no. Rusty gold, no. Where did I put it, guys? No, it's not stone border. It is here. We used it just before. Oh, no, we didn't, did we? Because I said that we'd remake it. We've got the rusty gold. Temple rings. No, they're the cement rings. Alright, that's okay. What we can do is we can open up the project we just did. No, I did. I saved it, didn't I? I remember making a smart material. What did I call it? It was called my something. My column, my railings. Oh, we don't want the railings though. Hero says, hey, don't be hating on Max. No, I love Max. You know, Max is my baby. I love Max. Love it. Somebody else says, why? I mean, it's not like we're talking about Maya, the one true goddess of modelling. The one that every Maya user complains about, as Hero says. What we can do is... now, I should already have a version of my smart material saved out here from when I created the inner dome ironwork. I just got to remember what I call it. Hopefully I didn't call it tube, because there's two here called tube. Border edge, column deco. Maybe it's this one. Just saying it was created with an older version of Substance. This is it. Okay, let's create a smart material. I thought I already had, but I obviously hadn't, so we're going to call this one my. So it's easier for me to find. My ironwork decos. My ironwork decos. There we go. And let's create a smart material. Snappy Girl says, yeah, she's one real bitch. Not going to deny that. Euro says, I made some lightning in Houdini now to tidy it up and make a sprite sheet for cheap anims. Yeah, you gotta love those sprite sheets. Let's load back up the previous file we were just working on now that we've saved out that smart material. We can discard that. And now we can apply that smart material. There we go. See how quick and simple that was once you've done it once. I might just throw down a smart mask on this just to get a bit of wear happening along the edges. I don't want to do it by hand because it's too fiddly. There's too many edges everywhere. So I'm going to cheat and use a smart mask. Android Lost says, Maya and Mac's user might have our differences, but we all can all agree that DAZ 3D is trash. So true. So true. Sniper Girl says, forgive me, Goddess Maya, please don't crush my program, I beg you. Euro says, I never actually used DAZ 3D, never liked the look of the outstation spam it produces, and doesn't it look awful? Some of the stuff that you see people made in DAZ, man. I guess it's really meant for people that aren't artistic. You know what I mean? You can buy one of those girly models from DAZ that have got cleavage out to here and put it in your render to make your artwork. It is pretty trashy though. Euro says, I never actually used DAZ, never liked the look of the ArtStation spam it produces. Sniper Girl says, I've never heard of DAZ. You're not missing anything, Sniper Girl. And Android Lust says to Euro, yeah, that's a problem. Let's go with a smart mask. Let's attach the smart mask to this one. Actually, let me just remove that blank layer at the bottom. Actually, we're going to attach the smart mask to do I not have? Just going to turn some of these layers off. I want to see what's going on. No, I don't. I'm going to put an underlying layer underneath of this one, so I'm just going to turn these off temporarily. This is the main texture here we've got, which I actually remember I created in Alchemist by mixing a couple of other smart materials together. Which is why it's called My Rusted Ironwork 2. That's why I remember making something which I thought was in Substance Painter, but was in Substance Alchemist. So I made the underlying texture in Alchemist. That's what was confusing me. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw an underlying layer underneath of this one. So I'm going to go with we are going to go with, I want a metallic layer, probably this one here. So I'm just going to drop that underneath of the main layer. You can see what that's doing here. I'll just play with the scaling a little bit. Let's turn the top layer back on and let's add a smart mask to this layer. And for this one, I think I'm going to go with which one will I go with? Let's go with Surface Worn. Play with that balance a little bit. Pull up on the contrast a little bit. Sniper Girl says, that's what I need, a big-breasted woman standing next to my van in the final render. Genius. Or on the bonnet, or on, you know, how they sit on the bonnet generally as well. And those terrible videos and terrible car shows where you see female models being exploited by sitting on cars. Android Gloss says, yeah, it's not for the enthusiast. Euro says, just make sure the gloss on the skin shader is set to 9000. Android Gloss says, since you never used DAZ 3D, if you look at DAZ render on ArtStation, you will notice. They're usually all female. They look the same. And Euro says, unless you really want to know, don't look it up, save yourself. No, you're not just you, Android Lost. I don't like the DAZ stuff either. Sniper Girl says, wow, see what you mean. I mean, geez, some of the breasts defy all forms of physics. They just float as if there's no gravity. Yeah, they do. Made by boys, obviously. We won't call them men, we'll just call them boys. I think that's the problem. Just going to pull up on the ambient occlusion so we get a bit more of the colour coming back through. Pull back a little bit on the curvature. We can play with the world space normal as well if we want. Again, I might just pull it back a little bit. Now we can turn on the 2 layers above it and show our dirt layers. I might just change this one a little bit. The dirt layer that's sitting on top of everything, I'm just finding it looks like it's darkening everything a bit too much. It's better. We've got more of the dirt happening at the bottom and less at the top, which is good because that's what would happen in real life. You'd get rain happening. This is sitting right at the base of the railing, so dirt has more of a chance to accumulate under this curved section than it would up here, where if rain hit it, it would clean it. So that's good. Let's save our file and let's export our texture. We'll export it at 2K. What are we calling it? Outer Iron Deco. Yep, that's fine. Nero says that's what happens when you have too much Botox. Sniper Girl says, boys that never seen how breasts actually move or anything. Yeah, that's right. They're all 15-year-old boys that use DAS and make those big-breasted models. I mean, it's normal in video games to have stylized characters. So a lot of Japanese games can tend to do that to their characters. They over-sexualize them. They give them bigger breasts, that sort of thing. And it can work in games. The same thing, do you remember the Gears of War games? How the male characters were with these huge steroid, muscly, arms that thick guys? It's a bit juvenile. I think it's a bit juvenile, personally. I mean, I guess it suited the Gears of War game because the game was very over the top anyway. So they do have their places, those stylized, overly sexualized characters, but yeah, not the sort of stuff I'd want to make. But wasn't the Gears of War, that was done by that Clippy B guy, wasn't it? And I'm sorry, but he's a bit of a wanker. Yeah, Clippy B or whatever his name was. He used to, I think, work for Epic Games. He doesn't anymore. He hasn't for many years, but I just get the impression he's a bit of a wanker. Wanker being an Australian word for a bit of an idiot. Just for those guys and girls that aren't familiar with Australian slang. We've exported the texture. We've saved the file. Let's jump back into Max. Okay. Let's create a new shader. Euro says, I had a DAS 3D spam bot spam following me on Twitter for a while. Took months of reporting to the tweeps to get them to ban them. I didn't know that was a thing. Wow. Android Lost says, also most of the props I've seen in DAS are quite low resolution. Yeah. Euro says, accentuate proportions. Yep. Smokeberry says, great big gazongas. That's right. It's all about them great big gazongas. Euro says, G Smurfery, I was being all PC. Sniper Girl says, please, I heard about the controversy with MK11. Please, I heard about the controversy with MK11. Android Lust says, Gears of War had meat heads for characters. Certainly did. Characters whose shape does not exist in the real world. You don't have guys with shoulders like this and waists like this. That's just not the way the human body works. Andrew Lust says, what's up about MK11? Sniper Girl says, the complaint is that all the male characters have the normal outfits with chests fully exposed and everything, while the female characters are more covered. Yeah, why is that an issue? Let me find where these textures we just saved out are, and it's called, what's it called? Dome Ironwork. Did I call it Dome Ironwork? Dome ring, dome ring. You know what? I've got to double check what I called this. Why would Fence Deco Swirl? Fence Deco Swirl. Wow, that's a mouthful. Fence Deco Swirl, there we go. Let's load up the normal map. I really should have renamed that before I exported it, but that's okay. This will be the color map, I think. I'm not really paying attention to what I'm opening up here. Yes, color. Now we want the metallic. And the roughness. Let's turn them all on. Okay, so normal is on, color is on, metallic is on, and roughness is on. We're going to do the same thing there. We're going to make it unique, and we're going to change the number of lights to 3. Again, this is only for the max viewport. It'll have no effect on our final renders when we jump into Eon View. And we're going to call this one, what is it? Fence Deco Swirl. Sounds like an ice cream. Fence Deco Swirl. Okay. Let's just add a bitmap so I can tell what that shader is for. And it's selected, so let's assign our shader. I'm going to change one of the lights on this shader from Omni 4 to Omni 5. Again, that's really nothing to do with the model, just so we can see it a bit better here in the viewport. Okay, so we... come on, Max. So we should be able to assign that texture to all of these pieces now. They should all be using the same UV map. Yep. Let's keep going around. Just checking them to make sure we're not getting any UV problems as we go. No, I can't. I was going to say I pull that off to the side while I work, but it hides my chat and stuff, so that's not a good idea. Cool. All right. Let's also do the ironwork here. I'm just going to open up this group. Double check. That's fine. Now we can close the group. Looks like I have a double here. I don't know why. Just as well I spotted that. Let's open this up. Let me see if I can navigate my viewport in this little sliver that we can see. Again, I have a double up here. I don't know why. Let's close that group. And close that group. What are you guys talking about? People will complain about anything, Sniper Girl says. They certainly will. Andrew Loss says normally it's the opposite and the devs pull the fast one and switch it. People still complained. Euro says, honestly, the world is losing its mind trying to dictate what should and should not be acceptable, where art and style and especially gaming are considered. It's the PC world we live in now. Unfortunately, the PC culture that we've got going on, politically correct. Everything has to be politically correct. Which is, you know, I'm not saying being politically correct is bad. I'm just saying that, yeah, it seems to be everyone's so worried about it now. If you're not PC, then God help you. They'll come for you. They'll come for you. When I say they, I mean the general population on, you know, on social media. Sniper Girl says, basically MK11 deals with time travel. Even the female characters from older games had their costumes modified to cover a lot more, while the male characters were basically HD versions of the earlier games. Yura says, I'm tempted to make a completely ridiculous game hitting all the common complaints about this stuff and bask in the glory of the Steam reviews. Good way to get publicity for your game too. Just to prove a point. Android says to Euro, sounds like a good idea. To top it off, use Gamebryo. Oh dude, don't do it to yourself. Don't use Gamebryo. You'll be sorry. Trust me, you will be sorry. I'm just going to check that this is correct. Yes, no, that's fine. So let's just go through and do these ones now, which are the kit bash pieces. Let me just see if I can move that over. There we go. There's a lot more on this piece because there are no steps. I don't know why. Look, I'm giving it to people as an option, but I don't know why you would want to make a scene where your terrace, your Temple of the Winds, has no steps, so you can't get up there. That just doesn't make sense to me, but hey, I'll include it just for those people that want to be a bit different, that don't want any steps along there around their temple, as weird as that is. Let's close the group. Move on to this one. To each their own. You don't want steps on your temple? I'll give you the option not to have steps on your temple. Whoa. Hit the wrong one there. Sniper Girl says, to play devil's advocate, there are studies done that show that over-sexualized characters can lead to body dysmorphia issues in girls growing up. And not just girls, Sniper Girl. Boys as well. Boys can get, can have issues with body image too. It's not just a girl problem. Euro says, yeah, I mean, if I don't like something, I won't buy it. I'm not going to go out of my way to stop those that might like it from benefiting from it. They do them, I'll do me. No issue. They do them, I'll do me. Sounds like a good way to be. Sniper Girl says, that being said, I don't feel that iconic characters should be modded due to it. I mean, it's part of MK in general. Smurfberry says, what we need is Shadow Warrior 3. Nero says yes, so much yes, Smurfberry. Sniper Girl says, yeah, it would be perfect. Andrew Lust says, never played that game. I haven't either. Nero says, Shadow Warrior is one of my favourite franchises. Sniper Girl says, I played the first one. Nero says, I played them all. The one-liners throughout are golden. Sniper Girl says, true, misspoken. When I said girls, yes, it's girls and boys. Boys can have body issues too. And you know what part of the problem really with the body image is? It's because of social media. Because everyone puts up selfies of themselves that have been run through 100 filters so they look perfect, and you know what I mean? People get the wrong impression of what people really look like. Because everybody's they photograph themselves in the best light, in the best pose, with all these filters thrown over the photo to make them look better. And people think that that's reality, and it's not. It's not reality. So everyone strives to have this perfect image. South Park, they did a really good episode of it on South Park once, where all the girls were getting their photos taken and altered in Photoshop, so they looked different. It's not reality. So you're striving for something that doesn't exist. That's fake. Andrew Lust says it is social media. Looking at your Instagram. Looking at you, Instagram, yeah. Nura says Lo Wang is one of those underappreciated video game characters. He's a Hall of Famer for sure. Yeah, I haven't played those games either. Maybe I should. Shadow Warrior. If you guys say they're good, I'll trust your guys' opinion. I've got so many games that I bought though, that I just haven't had time to play. My Steam library has got a huge amount of games in it that I've just never played. I will make sure I set aside time to play Cyberpunk 2077 though. I want to play that game. Because I like The Witcher 3 so much. I'm sure CD Projekt Red are going to create an amazing game. So I'm looking forward to that one, and I will make sure I set time aside to play it. Let's do this one over here, which is the last one. It's better that I do this while we're doing the main terrace, because that way I won't forget. And it's just easier. Okay, let's close that group up. Now we can close this down. And let us get into a position here and see what we're going to be working on next. Let's do a quick save, because you never know. Android Lost says, I want another Tenchu. Euro says the first Shadow Warrior game came out in '97. It's one of those old 3D Realms game gems. Oh, okay. It's a little bug. I promise I'm not going mad and seeing there's this little bug flying around. Euro says, built on the Duke 3D. Oh, Duke 3D engine. Wow, that's going back a long time. Duke. Good old Duke. Pardon me for a minute. Do you guys remember Duke Nukem, the game? Or was that before your time? The game that took... How long did that game take to develop? Like 8 years or something? Duke Nukem? Sniper Girl says, it's cool. We knew she went mad a long time ago. We appreciated we accepted it a long time ago. No need to pretend. There you go. You guys know me too well. I'm mad. It's imaginary bugs flying around me. Sniper Girl says, I remember the Duke. Android Lost says, I remember the side scroller Duke Nukem. Android Lost says, on PC, love that game. Yep, good old Duke Nukem. Back in the days of the original Quake, or Doom. Doom, actually, I think, back in the days of the original Doom game. Aren't they really re-releasing Doom? Because they've done an RTX version of it, an NVIDIA RTX version of it. Did I read? I'm sure I read somewhere. Euro says, yeah, I remember Duke side scrollers. Commander Keen. Android Lust says, yes, Commander Keen. Euro says, Rise of the Triad was another good one from back in the day. And Sniper Girl says, love Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem Forever doesn't count. Thank God, that one sucked. Android Lust says, made me want a pogo stick when I was a kid. Sniper Girl says, didn't they remake Rise of the Triad? Okay, we've done a save. We're going to pick what we're going to work on next. We've been doing the railing sections. Oh, actually, I have these decorative pieces at the top here. Let's look at doing those. So, what is this? Oh, okay. Let's send that over to Substance Painter. Sniper Girl says, Thor Steam powered Rise of the Triad. There's a link there to Steam. Euro says, in any case, have golden memories of the Rise of the Triad from LAN parties back in the day. LAN parties, are they still a thing? Do people still do LAN parties? I remember LAN parties as well. I haven't been to one for, geez, a long time, but I do remember them. I know they were very big. I should actually be checking that the name of this is correct. But let me just jump back into Max quickly. I want to check to see what I've called this. Yeah, no, I can't have it called that. Alright. I've got to start being a little bit more responsible with my naming here. I'm just going to discard that. We're going to rename this one to Pond Spikes. Otherwise, if I don't start naming things correctly, I'm going to lose track of what is what when I transfer it to View, so to Eon View. So we must make sure we're naming things correctly. Although a lot of these pieces are going to be attached in the end anyway. Sniper Girl says, I don't think LAN parties are a thing, not with better, faster net. And Euro says, yeah, they're a large organised LAN still. Sniper Girl says, been to a couple and did a few. Sniper Girl says, really nice. Euro says, DreamHack, Epic LAN, Insomnia, and I think PAX has some LAN thing in the US too. Cool. Yeah, LAN parties. Where you used to take your machine with you and set it up. A lot of fun. But you are right, I think with the advent of faster internet and things now, and the internet, people can do it in the comfort of their own home now. Alrighty. Euro says they're actually a good thing, forces us introverts to be social. That's exactly right. It does force us introverts to be social. These top pieces, let's jump to my smart material that we created, because why not? And I'm just going to change the color of it though. So my ironwork decos, I could use the decos one. Or we could use the railings one. I think let's use the decos one. I think. Because I want a bit more colour in these spiky bits at the top. So I want them to be a bit more green. But I'm going to have to go through and just change the scaling on these a little bit. I'm actually going to reduce the height information as well. In fact, I'm going to turn the height information off. Euro says DreamHack, but they're actually a good thing for us. Sniper Girl says a couple of LAN parties I went to were at the college I was looking at. They got pizza and everything. It was a sinking ship that did that in hopes to get people to sign up with them. Euro says the LAN parties we just hire a local country hall for a weekend and game from Friday through Sunday. I think the most we had was 30 people, which was about all our old P150 server could handle. Not to mention the power usage as well. It's something a lot of people when they start up a studio don't realise. You've got to make sure you've got decent power going into the building, because when you're talking, 50 computers all drawing power at the same time, a standard transformer on the building won't handle it. You need more of an industrial transformer, so that catches a lot of people out. Just reminded me of that when you said that, Euro. Sniper Girl says, was ITT Tech, forgot what year they went under. Oh, okay. Well, it's never good that they went under. Let's turn on that layer and that layer. And I might just bring up the green colour a little bit more, if I can. Because I made this in Substance, in Alchemist, in Substance Alchemist, I didn't expose the values for the color, which is really annoying. I really should have. It would have made changing it much easier. Yeah. Because I made the underlying substance in Alchemist and didn't expose the saturation or color channels. Very annoying. That's okay. We can live with that green. All I was going to do was pull up on the green a little bit more, the color of the green, but this will better match the decorative iron pieces anyway, so that should be fine. Euro says, yeah, DreamHack has some videos out showing their power and network setup. It's literally insane. Sniper Girl says, yeah, education department shut them down. Think it was due to fraud and several other reasons. Well, that's never good. We've had a few universities in this country shut down because of fraud too. Euro says they had multiple redundant fiber data center connections too. It's a crazy level of stuff they need. Andrew Doss says, baking maps right now. Cool. Sniper Girl says, yeah, have fun. It is always fun. I don't know that I really need to do much else to these little spikes. I've got a bit of rust happening on them, which is what I wanted. They should be fine, I think, the way they are. Let's just rename this one to Pond Spikes. Let's export the texture. Android Lost says, I'll share the high poly on Discord. I'm a bit unsure of it. Yep, do that. We all want to see it, Android Dust. Okay, let's jump back into Max. Let's do a save here, actually. Jump back into Max. Create a new shader for our spikes. Just let me get myself organized here. I like it's the OCD in me. I like to keep everything nice and lined up. I can't help myself. You should see me when I get stuck into cleaning at home. Okay, we want the DirectX shader. Let's change that to, what was it called again? Pond Spikes, that was the one. Let's start with the normal map. Must remember to override the gamma, I always forget. And then the color map. And the metallic. And the roughness. We want to make it unique. Let's turn these on, so use that, use the color, use the metallic and use the roughness. Let's open up our shader. Change it to 3 lights. Export as Pond Spikes. And let us assign, let me just pull in a bitmap. So we can recognize what the shader is. Okay. Let's assign that shader now. just change. It might not be too bad. I was going to say I might just darken them up a little bit, but I think it'll probably be okay. We'll wait till we get the rest of them textured up and I'll make the decision when we start doing the outside ones if I want to darken them up a bit. Again, they'll stand out a bit better when we got the textures happening on the rest of the top of the terrace here. Yura says, give me your polygons. Sniper Girl says, think you'll never be done with this project. I think you'll ever be done. Come on. We're getting there. There's only a bit left to texture up and then we're just going to do the beauty renders. And then we're going to start doing the House on the Hollow game. We're going to start working on that game. And that game is going to, fair warning guys, it's going to take a while. Making a game is a big undertaking and not something I intended to do on stream, but you guys wanted it, so I'm going to do it. It's going to take a while. Even though we're halfway there, we've got half of the game done, like the environment done. There's still a lot of work to do for puzzles and a couple of other smaller areas that we have to add before we can release it as a game. So, fair warning. If you get too bored with it while I'm working on the game, we could always switch it out to me doing another model like this in between, but yeah, it's going to take a while. And I will be done with this project soon. So cheeky, Sniper Girl. I'll give you a slap in a minute. Sniper Girl says, you know me, have to give you some issues. That's right. You always got to give me a hard time, guys, don't you? It's just not fun unless you give Phil a hard time. Which is fine. Like I said to you guys, it will start, this texturing stage will start to speed up. Now that we've done a few of the bits and pieces, we can start reusing some stuff, like the smart materials I've already made for other sections we can reuse for new sections. So the texturing stage is going to start to speed up a bit now. So yeah, but it's coming together slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. You don't want to rush anything. It's no fun to rush it anyway. You're going to see. I'm going to close out now. I do want to thank you guys and girls very much for hanging out with me and watching. ICMZ. It's good to see you, ICMZ. I won't let her bully me. I'm doing good though, ICMZ. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. You guys and girls though, I do want to thank you very much though for being here and watching, and thank you ICMZ for popping in. I do appreciate it when you guys watch me, so thanks for that. I'll be back on again tomorrow. We'll pick up where we left off here, texturing up the different bits and pieces on our terrace. You guys and girls have a great night. And hopefully I will see you all tomorrow. See you guys.